everybody, welcome back to Kathy's Craft Room. Today I am going to film a video on how I made this card here, and this is a card made with a brand new stamp set that just came out in this catalog. It is called Beachy Little Christmas, and it has some cute sentiments on it. It has a little hut and a palm tree and some seashells and a little crab and a Christmas tree. All beachy looking. So the colors that I went with are soft sky for the blue for the background, and then crumb cake for the brown, and that's the only two colors that I use. I do also use gray to do the outline stamping in the archival gray. So let's go ahead and get started. So, sorry, let me get my gemstones out of here, rhinestones. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I am going to take a piece of soft sky paper and I am going to cut it at 4 4¼ like that, and that gives me 2 halves, and then I'm going to come in and score it at 5½ . And that's just the base for our card, just like that. Okay, so that's the base. I have 16 of these to make, so it's real quick. If you want to go ahead and just do the second one, line that up, do a quick score, fold it in half, and I have 2 card bases. The second cut is in crumb cake, and that is a standard dimension. It's 4 by 5¼ . So we're gonna go ahead and do the 5¼ here. Don't score it, cut that, and then cut it, oops, sorry, at 4, and then at 4 again. All right, so there we go. 2 more pieces cut. And then the next layer is going to be in Whisper White. All right, and that, we actually need 2 pieces of Whisper White, so I'm going to go ahead and cut both of them. We need a 3 3/4 by 5, so I'm going to go ahead and do the 5 first, and then do 3 3/4. And then one more at 3 3/4. That lined up just right. Okay. And the other cut that we're going to do is for the white background that we're going to stamp this on. And that is a little bit of a more interesting dimension. It is 2 3/4 by 3. So I'm going to go ahead and do the 3 first. And I need 2 3/4. I can get a couple out of this one. I can get 3. Perfect. Okay, and then I also need one more piece of the soft sky, and that's just to give a little bit of an edge around here, just to kind of make it pop out a little bit. And that is 3 1/8 by 2 7/8. I have all my dimensions written down right here. So let's do the 3 1/8. So just a little tick mark right there. And then 2 7/8. I just wanted a little bitty frame around it, just enough to have it show, but not kind of take over the background that I stamped. So there we go. We can cut some more off of that. So those are all the pieces that I need. So I'm done with my cutting. Oh, nope, I'm not done with my cutting. I also need a 1-inch for our sentiment. I need a 1-inch. And I'm going to actually use this side of it for my 1-inch by 3 inches to stamp my sentiment and to use the little flag. So, all right, so those are all my cuts. So now I am done with my Stampin' trimmer for right now, and I can start the stamping. So let's see if you can see it on my sample. So on the sample, I don't know if you can see it on camera, but I'm actually stamping in Soft Sky. I don't know if you can see that. The little seashells that are behind it. So we're gonna go ahead and make that background now. So what I did was I took and mounted all of the seashells and the crab all on one block like this, and then I'm going to use that to stamp a pattern in Soft Sky. So, and as you can see on the example, I'm really going to kind of focus around the edges and the bottom because that's what you can see the most of. I don't really need to stamp a lot in the middle right there. So I'm just going to stamp up all of them at one time, and I'm going to go ahead and start stamping these in a random pattern. It doesn't really matter which pattern it is, just something seashell-y. I want to turn it a little bit. Get some more on here. Try to squeeze some in, turn it around so that they all come in, so I have a nice coverage. And because this is an edge, I'm going to go ahead and like stamp a little there just so it feels complete. There, so you get this little fun seashell pattern in the background, and I'm going to go ahead and do a second one as well. And because I'm not doing any sort of pattern, it's going to look a little different, but that's okay. That's kind of what I'm going for here, is random, kind of like creating your own yep, I don't want them back. You see how I made those a little too close? I don't want them touching, so I'm going to just flip this over, so stamp it on the other side. Good thing about paper, it is two-sided, so if you mess up, just flip it on over and start again on the other side. Alright, so almost done with my second one here. Trying to make sure that I line them all up. There we go. Okay, so those are our backgrounds for behind our little beach house here. And that I stamped in Soft Sky. So the next thing I'm going to do is go ahead and stamp my sentiments. I'm going to do all my stamping right now. I'm going to go ahead and use crumb cake and stamp the sentiment that says, "Who needs snowflakes when you have seashells?" And because I live in Florida, I thought that was pretty funny for myself to be in part of a card swap for people all over and send them something beachy, something Florida-y. And that is crooked, so I think I'm going to need a bigger piece. So let me go and cut a bigger piece and I'll be right back. So I just went and cut this a little bit bigger. It's still 1 inch, but it's 1 inch by 4. That way I have room. All right, so let's get back to stamping. So again, I'm going to take my sentiment, ink it up, and then put it to the left here. One second, okay. Oh, you see that? That little smudge there? That comes because there's extra ink on my stamp. So I'm going to go ahead and clean this stamp off because I definitely don't want that little smudge. So I'm going to get my Stampin' scrubber, use some Stampin' Mist, and then clean it off real quick and try that again. So just like I said earlier, all you gotta do is flip it over, start again. If you tap really lightly, then you shouldn't have that. You see how I don't have any edges now? So I don't have to worry about that. It's just when you push in on the pad, that can happen to the edges of your stamps. So we want that. All right, there we go. So who needs snowflakes when you have seashells? Perfect. And I'll go ahead and do the second one here as well, because I'm doing 2 at one time. It's really easy once you get in an assembly line type fashion to just go ahead and do, you know, more than one. There we go. No edges. Beautiful. All right. And we are also going to use the banner punch, the triple banner punch, to make the banners on these. So there's 3 different levels on here: 1 inch, 1.5, and 2 inches. So I'm just going to take my little 1 inch strip, stick it straight in, all the way to the end, and pop it off. And there's my little flag that goes on it. Same thing with this one. Put it in, pop it out, and there we go. So now I have my little flags ready to go. Done with that, done with those. And now the fun part. Now we are going to get our little hut and our palm tree ready to go. And this is actually going to be colored in with a blender pen. If you guys haven't gotten any of these are very cool. You can pretty much take any ink pad and use it as a marker for it. So I'm going to take the basic gray archival because I am coloring, so I want to make sure that these don't smudge. Okay, so as I was saying, I'm going to use the basic gray archival, and that's what I'm going to use to stamp my little hut and my palm tree. So I have this here mounted on a C block, and it fits just right on there. And I'm going to take and get that good and inky, and then I'm going to ink it right at the bottom left of the paper. All right, so there's my little hut, and I'm going to go ahead and do that to the other ones as well, making sure I have these lined up the right way, because there's a taller part and a longer part. I'm going to make sure these are longer. Nope, see, I just did that the wrong way. So make sure that you stamp it tall versus wide. So let's go ahead and turn that one this way. Stamp that down. That's a little crooked. Today is just the day of mess ups. So maybe I'll just focus on one. Let's get this on here. All right, so there's our little hut, and then we are going to take our little palm tree and put it right here next to our hut. All right, very nice. Now we have our palm tree and we have our hut, and we are actually going to color these in. So I don't need the gray anymore. And now again, I'm going to stop talking while I color this in because I'm going to fast forward it, and I want to sound like a Smurf when I do it. But before I start that, I do want to show you that these are the classic stamp pads. If you squeeze them, you get a little bit of ink on the top, and then this is what I'm going to be using to color. So there we go. So there's all the coloring that I'm gonna do on here. So we have our little hut all colored in, and this is kind of the original. The only thing I did a little different is I colored in the blue window here. And I did do the palm tree colors blue. I know that palm trees are green. I live in Florida, but I didn't want to add green to this field because I already had the blue mixed in with it. So there we go. So now all we really have to do is put the card together. So let's go ahead and get our base back out here. And we're going to take our crumb cake that we cut earlier at 4 by 5 1/4. And we're going to get some adhesive. So I'm going to use some fast fuse adhesive on this. And fast fuse is really strong, so I'm not going to put a whole lot on here. And then line this up in the middle. Alright, there we go. And then I'm going to put my little seashell DSP that I made earlier. Look how cute it is. Use this side of it because this side's the side that's done. Use snail again on that. Line that up in the middle. Which way do I want it? We'll have it going that way. Alrighty. And then we're going to take the piece that we just colored and we're going to get that mounted on the piece of soft sky that we cut earlier at 2 7/8 by 3 1/8. So we're going to go ahead and put some adhesive here. Make sure I'm doing this the right way. Yes, I am. This one does not have a big margin of error there. Alright, there we go. And then we're going to take this, and let's go ahead and put some dimensionals on it. Let's see what it looks like with dimensionals. I didn't put dimensionals on the original. It's just such a thick card already. No dimensionals, no dimensionals. I love dimensionals, and I love putting them on, but I just, when I have so many layers of paper, I don't really like to add dimensionals on top of it. It makes it really hard to fit into the envelope when you send them out. So I'm just going to line this up in the middle here. There we go. And then last but not least, I need my little sentiment that I have here, and I'm going to line this up all the way to the edge. You know what? I feel like it's too big. Like it should be like only like right here. Okay. So let me go and cut this for the 3rd time because that's how many times I need to cut it. You know, I could probably just make it smaller. You know what? This is the wonder of paper crafting. I am just going to make it smaller. There we go. Oh, much better. Much better. I wanted it more to the right. So I'm going to go ahead and put some fast fuse on here as well. Line this up. I want it all the way to the edge. I want the white showing through all the way to the edge. Okay, and the last thing we're going to do is we're going to add rhinestones because rhinestones just make everybody feel better, and I love them. So I'm going to take and use 3 little rhinestones right here. When you put rhinestones on, put one on the outside and another one on the outside and then one in the middle. That way if you like space them too far apart or too close together or whatever the case may be, you can use the middle one. It's kind of like your in the middle one. So no matter how the other ones are spaced out, it always looks good. And then there we go. 2 down, 16 to go. Oh, looks like I lost a rhinestone here. I will put another rhinestone right there. And that is the card using our new Beachy Little Christmas. I think people from up north will get a kick out of the fact that, you know, I'm down here in Florida and I'm sending them a Christmas card that kind of glorifies that. So that's all I have for you guys today. Thank you so much for watching. You have a great day. Thanks. Bye.